before and after around the game, wasn't he? Very good.
Yeah, a proper advert for rugby league. What a fella! I thought he was. I thought he was brilliant for our game generally. I thought, and for Super League.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of the Roosters as a club necessarily. I don't know why, they just don't sit well with me, and never I don't know why. I can't explain it. But we loved Robinson's Catalan side back in the early 20-teens, and obviously he's carried on great success at the Roosters, and he seems like a top bloke, doesn't he? Completely.
Yeah, he absolutely does. He absolutely does. Rich Wilkinson says, this was an enjoyable match all round, a bit loose at times, but this made for a closer game. Roosters deserved it, and the tough conditions meant the missed goal kick gave Saints a chance. Saints wasted too many chances to score, and the Roosters punished them in the end.
Macca said, much like the NRL Grand Final, the Roosters were on the back foot for most of the second half, but didn't give up points. The front row battle lived up to its billing, and Taya set the clock back about 10 years and had a blinder. A great example of why we need this fixture. Yeah, hear, Macca.
Yeah, Paul Chamberlain said, yeah, you know the season is back when Warrea Hargraves is again acting like a grub wanker. English sides can't defend an inside pass around the ruck. Yeah, very true. And Aussies are scoring off forward passes later on. Credit to the Saints pack, which was excellent, but the back line, as always, was the difference. Shame on Saints for not selling out. I think you mean the crowd.
Yeah, there was, about 1,700 short of capacity?
Yeah, that's correct. Which is disappointing, I think. But
yeah,
there you go.
I mean, I can't criticise too much because I've been to, I think, there's been 14, 15, 16, 17 and 19. I went to all of those World Club Challenges, wherever they were held in this country, and this weekend I didn't go. So, I'm one of those to blame, I suppose, because I've been a usual goer. But do you think one of the things that does affect neutrals like me going is that it's at Saints' home ground?
Yeah, I think very possibly, Mark. I mean, we certainly haven't done the sort of job that Leeds did in, putting so many into Ellen Road and so on when they were playing in the World Club Championship all those many moons ago. I do think it's a factor. I don't think there were very many neutrals at the game.
Yeah.
So in some ways it wasn't bad that we had so many there. Having said that, I think if I go back to, Saints against Brisbane when we played the game at what was the Reebok Stadium in Bolton, probably no bigger crowd for that as there was this time around either.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. They showed some footage of that game on social media through the week beforehand, and there was a lot of empty seats, and I don't remember there being at the time, but there was. I speaking of the crowd, yes, we know from the numbers that it wasn't sold out, and that'll be re-emphasised, I'm sure, come April the 10th, or is it the 10th? April the 10th, when it's Good Friday, and it will be a sellout. But at the same time, it didn't feel like the stadium wasn't packed. So the aesthetics and the atmosphere seemed fantastic.
Yeah, it was just the edges of the east.
Yeah.
That were empty. That was where the space was. The West Stand where I was absolutely rammed, and all the seats were sold. So I think it looked well, and it sounded good inside the ground, but clearly there were still a few gaps.
Disappointment that we couldn't find that extra sort of 1,800 to properly chocker it up. Yeah. Lee Whitnell said, Saints can hold their heads high for the performance. Perhaps with their first choice fullback and left edge, things could have been different, but the crispness of the Roosters' passing and incredible intensity of their defence looked like it would always win out in the end. Really like Trent Robinson's comments after the game. Give this fixture the prominence it deserves.
Very good. Shoddy and Mungo says, surely we have to consider Trent Robinson as the best coach of his generation. Great with the media too.
he's done things that no one else has done. Back-to-back NRL titles. That hadn't been done since the NRL competition was launched, and back-to-back World Club Challenges. That's never been done before. So, he's a history maker. He's consistent as well, isn't he? They've won a lot of minor premiers as well as the 3 grand finals that they've won under his stewardship since 2012. So,
and he goes the right way, as we were saying before. So he's getting the sympathy votes all round as well. I think he's a nice fella.
He certainly comes across to the public as a more likeable guy than, say, Craig Bellamy and Wayne Bennett, who would be the other people who would want to be in that conversation, maybe. Sarah McKenzie said, both teams blew lots of opportunities to score. Saints did well to keep a hold of the game when it got to 8:20, thought the floodgates might open. It could have been different had a couple of players been fit for them.
And Fat Boy Rob finally says, I thought Saints gave a good account of themselves in Super League, and with a little bit more composure and luck, they could have won it.
Yeah, I think that's a nice, concise sort of way to round out the fan views. But the most important fan view on this one is yours. You're the Saints man. You were there. What did you make of the occasion? What did you make of the performance?
I mean, if going back to prior to the game, Mark, I don't think most Saints fans were not hugely optimistic about our chances of winning the game. Yeah. So I think, going into the game, myself and I would suspect, and maybe other Saints fans will get in touch and say, oh, no, but I suspect most Saints fans were just hoping we'd be able to put up a decent show and, not embarrass ourselves. Let's be clear, the Roosters have handed us our backsides on a number of occasions in this competition. So we really didn't want to either embarrass ourselves or Super League. Last time out we played South, we got absolutely bounced. So we were hoping... I think
as well on that, we'd had that disastrous Great Britain tour as well in the autumn, and so this was a real chance to at the very least restore pride in the Northern Hemisphere game, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we were really hoping that we would be able to put up a decent show. Obviously, there was all the stuff in the week, which to me felt bizarre, about saying, was Percival going to play, which, turned out I was right in saying that I didn't think he would, and he didn't. And I think it was possibly a little bit of a distraction. But there was...
I suppose it was a little bit of a distraction, but it prevented there being pressure put on the sort of men who came in a way, Wellesby, Bentley, Costello. No one was really talking about them, so they weren't getting any external pressure.
No, I think that's probably right, and I don't know whether that's why Percival was put in the squad or not. I assume that they genuinely thought he had a chance that he might be able to play, but in the end he didn't, and I'm not at all surprised that he didn't. I didn't think he would, and therefore, my team prediction was basically the team that turned out. Yeah. And it was always a worry that left edge, whilst we're, very proud of and hopeful for some of the guys that played there, it was clearly going to be a bit of an ask.
Well, they were both out of position as well, weren't they? As well as being kind of thrown into a game that maybe they weren't quite ready for. They were doing it out of position.
Yeah, second row playing centre, a centre playing wing, and then a young 18-year-old fullback up against the best team in the world. And I think they are the best team in the world. I mean, you can't argue.
Yeah, there's no arguments now, is there? They backed it up.
It isn't. And
they were without a couple. They were out a couple of their star players that were in the squad last year that are no longer there, and they were also without a couple of their experienced players as well. But Saints did miss.
Yeah, we clearly did. I think, to be honest, of all of the people that are missing, it's Coop that we're missing the most at the moment. Now in Super League we can get away with it a little bit, but at this level, you need when you've got a lot of pressure on a team, you need to be able to unpick the lock.
Yeah.
And that is a very tough lock to unpick. Without Coote, everything really focuses around Lomax and around the halves. And I think Coote really adds an additional sort of dimension to the whole play. And so it's him we're missing, I think, more than anything.
Well, whilst we're talking about individuals and the fullback position, one thing I came out of this game, one thing I've been thinking about Jack Welsby is the kid can attack. Not sure about him going the other way. One thing I came out of this game feeling positive about for Jack Welsby is I don't remember him dropping a kick.
He didn't. He hasn't dropped a kick for a couple of weeks. Since the
Warren. That I've never seen him play a game where he hadn't dropped a kick.
No.
So I think credit to him in that environment to not drop a kick.
Yeah.
There's a positive there.
Yeah, and he made some decent meters. He didn't miss any tackles where you'd have thought he ought to be making that. I think he did a very good job. In fact, they all did a good job.
If anything, it was his attack that seemed a little.
We lacked cutting edge.
Yeah.
Against what is a magnificent, well organised, well structured defence, and they keep turning up for each other all the time. So it's very, very difficult to break them down. You're playing right on the edge just to create a slight overlap. And that makes it hard your execution has got to be bang on if you want to get around the end of those guys. And we managed to create 3 chances, but we were stretching every sinew to create those chances, and so made it very hard to execute. And we didn't execute well enough when we did get there.
And they did, I think. Like the Daniel Tupu try. Obviously, Luke Thompson scored a try. Great play by Theo Farge in the build-up to that try. That set that one up, and everyone was excited, thinking this could be on. Daniel Tupu scored a try to sort of get things back going in the Roosters' direction, and that was a try where they had to push it right to the very limit of executing a play to be able to get in to score, but they executed that final bit, that difficult catch. Whereas in the second half, there was a difficult pass for Bentley that he didn't quite execute. There was a difficult catch for Makinson, one of the best, and he didn't quite execute it. And there was that difference, wasn't it, in that execution?
That's exactly right. I think if you're going to boil it down, that's what it came down to in the end is. They created a few chances and they put all of them away. We created a few chances and we didn't. And, that's the key difference between the two sides. You've got to have people who, when they do create those chances, get those opportunities, can put 1 or 2 of them away. And we didn't do that well enough. We didn't, as Wolf said, we didn't ice 1 or 2 of those opportunities that we created through very good pressure. First half, I thought we were off the pace. I thought we hung in well, but they were lightning quick round the ruck.
They were getting quick play of the balls, and yet Friend was still moaning about the speed of the play of the balls. But they were so much quicker to find their feet and get the ball back into play than St Helens were, weren't they?
Yeah. Much, much, much better. But I think they ran a bit out of gas, and I thought we controlled the ruck better in the second half. And we put them under a lot of pressure. We spent a lot of time in the 20, but we just couldn't create enough, and we didn't ice the opportunities that we did.
Yeah,
we did create. We can't complain. We were beaten by a better team. By a better team.
That first 20 minutes after half time, obviously 8-6 at half time, very close. There was those 2 kicks that hit the post and the crossbar that obviously would have given the St Helens fans a bit of hope that, hey, they've scored some tries, but we're still in this. And then there was a couple of tries ruled out. There was the Tommy Makinson one where he was short and then he seemed to reach out the ball, and it was a close